September the 23rd, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. Let's jump right in and look at our guy. All right. So we are on Trump's timeline. We're just going to start in reverse order here. So we already saw that. Let's jump into this. All right. After reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands being made by the minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open, I have decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. They are threatening to shut down the government of the United States unless they can have over $1 trillion in new spending to continue free health care for illegal aliens. A monumental cost, you think? Yeah. Force taxpayers to fund transgender surgery for minors. No thanks. Don't have my vote. Have dead people on the on the Medicaid rolls. Allow illegal alien criminals to steal billions of dollars in American taxpayer benefits. Try to force our country to again open our borders to criminals and to the world. Allow men to play in women's sports and essentially create transgender operations for everybody. These radical left views and policies is what allowed me to win the presidential election, including all 7 swing states, and the popular vote in a historic landslide. There are consequences to losing elections, but based on their letter to me, the Democrats haven't figured that out yet. They're trying to eliminate the popular $50 billion rural and vulnerable hospital fund, which was passed with only Republican votes and proudly signed into law by me. The Democrats in Congress seem to have totally lost their way. They obviously have no idea what it means to put America first or to make America great again. All congressional Democrats want to do is enact radical left policies that nobody voted for. High taxes, open borders, no consequences for violent criminals, men and women's sports, taxpayer-funded transgender surgery, and much more. Few people voted for what they represent, which would lead to the destruction of America. Instead, people voted for common sense. And that's what the Republicans and your president, Donald J. Trump, stand for. I look forward to meeting with them if they get serious about the future of our nation. We must keep the government open and legislate like true patriots rather than hold American citizens hostage. Knowing that they want our now thriving country closed, I'll be happy to meet with them if they agree to the principles in this letter. They must do their job. Otherwise, it will be just another long and brutal slog through their radicalized quicksand. To the leaders of the Democrat Party, the ball is in your court. I look forward to meeting with you when you become realistic about the things that our country stands for. Do the right thing. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Well said. Okay, moving on. It was a great honor to speak before the United Nations. I believe the speech was very well received. It focused very much on energy and immigration. I have been talking about this for a long period of time, and this forum was the absolute best from the standpoint of making these two important statements. I hope everybody gets to watch it. The teleprompter was broken, and the escalator came to a sudden halt as we were riding up to the podium. But both of those events probably made the speech more interesting than it would have been otherwise. It is always an honor to speak at the United Nations, even if their equipment is somewhat faulty. Make America great again. Okay. All right, next one. Highly respected president of Argentina, Javier Milei, has proven to be a truly fantastic and powerful leader for the great people of Argentina. Advancing on all levels at record speed, he inherited a total mess with horrible inflation caused by the previous radical left president, much like crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our nation. Yet he has brought stability back to Argentina's economy and lifted it to a new level of prominence and respect. We have had a tremendous relationship with Argentina, which has become a strong ally. Thanks to President Milei, I look forward to continuing working closely with him so that both our countries can continue on their incredible paths of success. Argentina, Javier Milei is a very good friend, fighter, and winner, and has my complete and total endorsement for re-election as president. He will never let you down. Okay, congratulations to attorney. Let's see. Congratulations to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Tom Blanche, and the entire Department of Justice team on the conviction in Florida of the person who attempted an assassination on my life. The trial was meticulously handled, and I would like to thank the judge and jury for their time, professionalism, and patience. This was an evil man with an evil intention, and they caught him. I would also like to thank the Secret Service, Department of Florida Law Enforcement, and the wonderful person who spotted him running from the site of the crime and acted by following him and getting all information on car type and license plate to the sheriff's office immediately, which led to his arrest and conviction. What incredible instincts and foresight this person had. A very big moment for justice in America. Whew, okay, moving on. 5 hours ago. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. Dig. Well, Putin's not, he's tried and he's tried. Trump has tried and tried to bring these two nations together and stop the fighting. And obviously it ain't working. So I guess he's trying a new strategy. The shame strategy. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years in a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow and all of the great cities, towns, and districts all throughout Russia find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed, and all of the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has a great spirit and only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO, or for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. That's pretty funny. Oh, man. I'm really starting to enjoy reading these. The dude's got a sense of humor. Putin, if you ain't going to play ball, maybe you'll just lose it all. You know what I mean? Maybe Ukraine's going to take back the territory that they lost. And who knows? Maybe they'll take a little bit more. You know what I mean? Let's talk peace. Gotta love it. All right. So there's a bunch of these. So we're going to go through. Hopefully these don't take long. These are him talking. Oh, this is an hour and 14 minutes. Yeah, we're not going to play that one. Y'all can play that one on your own time. Let's play some of these shorter ones.
Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, But today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, and there is no other country even close.
Okay, yeah. Right. Seriously, Truth Social, you did it again. Oh, no, there we are. We're just really close to the top. Let's see. Posted a bunch of these. There you go. All right, next one. Here you go.
Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years.
Wow.
One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And in all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you.
Oh, whoops, click.
I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential. But it's not even coming close to living up to that potential.
Yikes.
For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter.
Yeah.
And then never follow that letter up. It's empty words.
Commensurate with the rest of the woke left.
War.
They don't do anything.
The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
Well said. All right, next part.
There is no more serious danger to our planet today than the most powerful and destructive weapons ever devised by man, of which the United States, as you know, has many. Just as I did in my first term, I've made containing these threats a top priority, starting with the nation of Iran. My position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why, shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called Supreme Leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region.
Yep. That's what they did. All right. Is this the last one? This might be, we're getting up there.
China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one? In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures. I mean, you're much closer to this. We have an ocean in between. You're right there. And Europe has to step it up. They can't be doing what they're doing. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. It's embarrassing to them. And it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, I can tell you that. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia. Otherwise, we're all wasting a lot of time. So I'm ready to discuss this. We're going to discuss it today with the European nations, all gathered here. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear me speak about it, but that's the way it is. I like to speak my mind and speak the truth.
Can confirm. I do believe this man speaks the truth. I know there's some people that don't agree, but I like his fruit. He's doing what I voted him to do. Next.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border.
He's putting them on notice.
Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them.
Amen. And that notice speech at the UN today is the most unnecessary smackdown of straight facts since the inception of the UN in 1945. God bless Donald J. Trump. Witness number one. Witness numero uno. Like him or love him, hate him. Doesn't matter what you think. He seems to be chosen by God, and he is doing a good job. All right. Moving on to our next guy, Elon Musk. Okay. Let's see. How to vote with your shares. If you have Tesla shares, you can vote in your Tesla meeting. Start fresh. Let's see. Try and skip some of this Grok stuff. He's been posting a lot. Let's see. Shareholders. Am I on? I'm not on Elon. Am I? I am on Elon. He reposted a bunch. All right. Repost. Finally, Google admits that the Biden White House demanded censorship of legal content and that the European censorship law, DSA, could require it and other tech companies to remove lawful content both within and outside of the EU. The U.S. market must stand up to EU censors. Agreed. Yeah, breaking due to our oversight efforts, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political. Whoa, what's this? Due to political speech violations to return to the platform. But that is not all. Okay, we don't want to read this. Whoa, big apology. Statement of facts. Okay, I'm going to read this and get back to you on what it says. Committee and its investigation, the Biden administration, and Alphabet. Interesting. Huh. How do I summarize this? Isn't there a way to say grok summarize? Let's see. Okay, YouTube also admits the Biden admin censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Confirms that the Biden admin wanted Americans censored for speech that did not violate YouTube's policies. Details when YouTube began rolling back its censorship policies on political speech after Judiciary GOP began its investigation. States that public debate should never come at the expense of relying on authorities. Promises to never use third-party fact checkers, and warns that Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech. Interesting. Over the past few years, we have uncovered massive scandals relating to big tech censorship. You think? I mean, people have been shouting from the rooftops about this stuff. Facebook Files Part 1. Smoking Gun Doc proves Facebook censorship censored Americans because of Biden White House pressure. Okay. All right. So that's new. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to be digging into this to see what we can learn. I will report back. So this is from Representative Jim Jordan. Very cool. All right. So, yeah. All righty. Moving on. Well done. So Google. So big win for freedom. This is another well done. Google limits censorship. Yeah. Again, I'll report back on what I find. Hiring for new team. Let's see. This is hiring stuff for his next big adventure. Meanwhile, in Dearborn, Michigan, America. Oh, great. Okay. Let's. America will not fall. Let's see what this says.
Do feel like change achieved victory. We haven't done anywhere near enough. And the people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come, because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah they will fall. And my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old, who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down, because they must come down. Achieved victory. We haven't done anywhere near enough. And
I do wonder about the Muslims in America. I mean, I don't think all Muslims are hateful, murderous people, but literally in their texts, it calls for them to do terrible things. Those are the ones that I worry about. I don't really worry about them. Obviously, everything that's happening is happening at God. God knew about it. He had it written down. I mean, we're just sitting back watching this stuff unfold, but there's still questions that need to be answered. There's still prophecies that need to be revealed. I mean, like every day we're learning new things are being revealed. We're putting the pieces together. We're starting to see the bigger picture. I mean, it's all just coming together. It's amazing. So, but it does seem like Islam plays a role in the future. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. But I like that Elon says America will not fall. Cool. All right, Dodge. Let's see. Elon Musk.
March, the ambition, that's X.AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
well, there are reports out there that you and Larry and Elon had dinner. They talked you out of 100,000 H100s. They went to Memphis and built a large coherent supercluster in a matter of months.
So first, three points don't make a line. Okay. Yes, I had dinner with them. Causality is.
What do you think about their ability to stand up that supercluster? And there's talk out there that they want another 100,000 H200s, right, to expand the size of that supercluster. First, talk to us a little bit about X and their ambitions and what they've achieved, but also, are we already at the age of clusters of 200 and 300,000 GPUs?
The answer is yes. And then the first of all, acknowledgement of achievement where it's deserved. From the moment of concept to a data center that's ready for NVIDIA to have our gear there, to the moment that we powered it on, had it all hooked up, and it did its first training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Incredible.
So that first part, just building a massive factory, liquid cooled, energized, permitted, in the short time that was done. I mean, that is like superhuman.
Right.
Yeah. And as far as I know, there's only one person in the world who could do that. Right. You know, I mean, Elon is singular in this understanding of engineering and construction and large systems and marshaling resources.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And of course, then his engineering team is extraordinary. I mean, the software team's great, the networking team's great, the infrastructure team is great. You know, Elon understands this deeply. And from the moment that we decided to go, the planning of with our engineering team, our networking team, our infrastructure computing team, the software team, all of the preparation in advance, then all of the infrastructure, all of the logistics, and the amount of
Yeah, okay, we get the point. We're not going to watch this whole thing. That was half of it. So this is NVIDIA's CEO. They make computer graphic cards. So if you don't know what that is, it's part of your computer that actually renders the screen for what you look at. The GPU, which is what they specialize in, is it processes the high end graphics. You have a CPU, which is the computing processing unit, which crunches the numbers. The GPU does it 10 times faster, actually more than 10 times, tens of thousands of millions of times faster. GPUs are the powerhouse of your computer, and it's really what makes gaming in the form that we know it today available. And from that, it's also started to it's the technology that has enabled artificial intelligence, because like I've said 1,000 times before, all AI is an advanced search engine with predictive capabilities. So anytime you type in a prompt, it's taking that prompt, breaking it down into little bitty tokens, and it's calculating what the best response is to each individual token, and then as the prompt as a whole, in order to get the information out of the database. And the GPU allows that process to take place way faster than your CPU could ever accomplish. So what Elon Musk is doing is he's literally going to the source of the biggest manufacturer in the world who produces this kind of computing power, and buying all of their graphic cards, and he's building giant data centers so that he can build a bigger, faster, better AI in an effort to protect free speech. Now, there are those who think that he's doing it because they think he's the Antichrist, or they think he's the little horn, or he's trying to rule the world. They don't know what they're talking about. Most of those people are idiots anyway. Elon Musk is one of the smartest men in the world. God has clearly blessed him and put him in the position that he's in, and he is defending our rights. He is making freedom available right now. It's because of him that we're in this pocket of grace that we're in right now. He's enabling the church to be able to shine as lights. So, and part of what that is AI being truthful. Elon Musk has talked about one of the greatest dangers with artificial intelligence is if it becomes a point of truth and it's lying all the time, it's going to have a catastrophic effect on the world. So his objective is to make it maximally truth seeking. So there you have it. And this is a big part of it. This is what he's talking about. And you have Jensen Huang here saying that there's just no one else in the world that could have pulled off what Elon did in 19 days. Built that data center. All right, moving on. picture was taken on Mars today. So that was 3 days ago. Is that really Mars? Looks like a desert. Huh. What do you guys think? Do you think that there's life on other planets? Do you think people have been here before? I often find myself wondering, I do believe so. We're either in a simulation, which is one possibility, to where it's like I imagine what it would be like being in a game or something like that, to where anything's possible, but there's rules. Or there's a reason for all the planets. I mean, obviously, everything holds the universe together, and it's part of the systems. But there's a lot of them. By all accounts, there's trillions of planets and galaxies. Either there are people or beings in those planets or galaxies, or it's for the future, because we're literally, with what we believe from the Bible, we're talking about eternity, right? So eternity is a very long time. I don't think we're going to be sitting in clouds strumming harps. I think we're going to be busy working and doing things. So I've often wonder if, like, that's not the point of the size of the galaxy. If that's could very well be why Elon is who he is and blessed in the way that he is, because that might be what we're going to be doing for all of eternity, is literally expanding out from where we're at. We're going to have a constant challenge, constant problems to solve. Number one, get out of the atmosphere. Number two, figure out how to get to another planet. Number three, how to live on another planet. Number four, terraforming another planet to make it more useful, and then moving on. And then, throughout the generations and centuries, just continue doing that from one planet to the next. I think that's how God plans to keep us busy. I think he wants us populating the galaxy. So it's interesting because you have these leftists who want to, that think that, the world can't supply the population and we need to depopulate. They're stupid. They're idiots. Elon Musk has even said that the world, and I believe this long before he ever said it, the world can sustain significantly more people than have ever been on it right now. So there's 9 billion people on the planet right now. It could probably handle 100 billion and be fine. Because if you think about it, the ocean is completely unexplored. I mean, like, we've explored like a small percentage of the ocean. There's a lot of livable space. People can live in boats. People can live in cities underneath the water, Atlantis. And there's also a lot of land. I've traveled across the country many times before. There's a lot of land. It's not all needed for farming. So this whole leftist mentality of like, oh no, we're overpopulating the earth is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Anyway, so that's things I think about at night when I can't sleep. All right, moving on. Let's see. I was blessed with the first ride and first sales pitch with Elon Musk in the first Tesla, which showed me that he alone was driving Tesla forward from the very beginning. Of course, I voted for the proposals that shareholders are presented with, and I recommend you do too. Oh yeah, all this voting stuff with Tesla. Tesla a lot of shareholder stuff. Data is transphobic. And wokeness. So sex offenders per million. Sex offenders. So there's 3 sex offenders, 3 biological women per million are sex offenders. 395 biological men per million. 1,916 trans women per million. That is what? Is that a 5 times more trans women are sex offenders than biological men and biological women? What does that tell you? According to Elon Musk, data is transphobic. Or that's end wokeness. Elon just said, wow. Yeah. All right. What do we got here? Let's listen to this.
Side, not to stoke hate and division and anger and fear. This was a horrific murder that we saw play out. We each have a responsibility to bring this state and this country together, not to continue to divide.
Democrats continuously create a permission structure for violence.
Oh, yeah.
This is important. I also want you to think about this. How many times have you seen Democrats calling for you?
So we watched this yesterday. If you didn't see the show yesterday, I recommend going and watching that
with Trump.
He goes through and he explains how it is that they, justify evil, really, is what it is. And Elon reposted it and said, well said. All righty. What do we have here? Don't think we saw this. Let's listen to that.
And wise. And I do believe that the teachings of Jesus are good and wise. And that there's tremendous wisdom in turn the other cheek. And for a while there, when I was saying, I thought, well, that's really a weak thing. And with respect to bullies at school, I think you shouldn't turn the other cheek. You should punch them on the nose.
Agreed.
And then thereafter make peace with them. But they need to stop bullying you, and a punch in the nose will stop that. And then thereafter, make peace. This notion of forgiveness is important. I think it's essential because if you don't forgive, then but an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. I do believe that
So this is just some snippets from his interview with Jordan Peterson quite a while ago. I'm not sure why it's coming up again now. Maybe just because he's been talking. Maybe as an explanation, he said, "Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." Elon is spending more time in the Scripture. Actually, so if you guys don't know, he actually went to both a Jewish school, very young, a Jewish school and a Christian school. He has an upbringing in the Bible, and he consumed knowledge wherever possible. I think it's what's enabled him to be who he is. And he's not preaching doctrine, but his life has led him to who he is. And I think that's why God chose him, is because it's clearly in his heart. God has looked at his heart and said, you will stand up for my people. You are going to be blessed so that you can bless my people. And I think that's why he is one of the best candidates for one of the two witnesses. Is he's arguably the richest man in the world, and arguably one of the most powerful men in the world with all the technology that he commands. And he's not doing it for personal gain. For those who don't know, he sold all of his homes and his cars. He couch surfs a lot, from what I understand. And when he's not couch surfing, he's sleeping in a tiny home or he's sleeping in his factory. This is all he does. He's consumed with this mission that he's been given. I don't even think he realizes that it's a mission from God. I think lately, in the last couple of years, he's realizing that it's a mission from God, because that was really a turning point for him when the Babylon Bee got suspended from Twitter. It was in response to that. Now, he says a couple of things were leading to that, but that was the hair that broke the camel's back, when the Babylon Bee, which is a Christian parody business that he happens to have an affection for, an appreciation for, when they got banned from Twitter, that's when he responded, shit, I guess I'm going to have to buy Twitter now. So yeah, dude's got a good heart. And it's interesting hearing him talk more about the Scripture and more about God and Jesus. Yeah. All right, I think we are caught up. Man, we made good time today. All righty. Well, we're gonna go look at some comments here, and we're gonna call it a day, just to keep this short. I know people appreciate the shorter videos, so we're gonna try and strive for some shorter videos. Let's see what we got over here. Good evening. I don't believe the escalator stopping and Trump Melania stop was an accident. Yeah, neither do I. I saw the Golden Dome he was proposing. Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I've heard about in regards to the Golden Dome. One of them is Star Shield. Don't quote me on the name, but so Elon has one of the highest security clearance you can have in the United States. And I believe it's because of his work with spaceships and launching stuff into space. I think he's working on Star Shield, which is weapons in space, defenses in space. Whether that's going to continue or not, I mean, given where we are in the timeline, very shortly here, within probably 3 years, I think that we're going to start seeing the stuff that's up in the atmosphere falling to Earth. I think that's part of the meteors or the fire from heaven. I mean, it could be something else, but I think that plays a role because it says that they're about the weight of a talent, which is about 100 pounds. And I believe that is about the weight of some of the satellites that he's been sending up there, about 100 pounds. The thing is, though, is a lot of them, when they fall to Earth, they just burn up. So I don't know. It may not be them. It may be something else. The UN is there to vote against Israel. Yes, they were. And did you see how our guy stood up against them? Spoke the truth. Love that. I'm going to go after the show. I'm going to go watch that whole speech. Trump is commander in charge of the world, in my opinion. He is. For now, until they don't allow that anymore. Trump is the peacemaker. Agreed. See, only a lie would fear the truth. The truth doesn't mind being questioned. A lie detests being challenged. Agreed. Truth withstands scrutiny. It's like gold. The more you burn it, the purer it gets. Let's see. True Trump is a peacemaker, not a peacekeeper, which involves compromising values. Trump is a peacemaker. Agreed. The Australian government has been labeled as a mafia cartel by the International Court plus UN, yet nothing is happening. Good to know. Yeah, I've spent some time in Australia. That is a very much a nanny state. I imagine that China's worse, but there's a reason citizens aren't allowed guns, and it seems like they're even trying to outlaw knives now, because most attack, most, I don't know what I'm talking about. Attacks are happening with knives, right? The freedom of speech law. Let's see. The freedom of speech law needs to be changed, if you ask me, because nobody should be able to freely abuse you with words either. There is more law around speech than most people recognize. There are things you can and cannot say. So it's interesting that they're talking about what really I think it comes down to is enforcing the laws that are on the books that they can. Like, you're allowed to say things, but you're not allowed to incite violence. You're not allowed to threaten people, right? You're not allowed to. I mean, there's a lot of things you're not allowed to do. It's just that our speech is less regulated than the rest of the world. No Sharia law. You're in America who resides under the Constitution. Divine punishment in their holy books. Let's see, the censorship involves 5 eyes, just like the elections. Personally, if certain parts of the population likes and prefer Sharia law, yeah. All right, what else? Probably why he's so smart. Never stop learning. Yeah. Learn everything that you can and don't fear. Learning things that you were taught are wrong with Jesus Christ. The truth you should not fear. Agreed. Open every door to the unknown with Jesus in your heart, love in your eyes, listen to your heart, feel love, speak love, think love, create love, every sense. Amen. Let's see. Good. I don't understand why we make weapons of mass destruction anyways. Yeah, that's coming to an end. That's part of the end times is, people throwing down their weapons and picking up the plowshares, beating them into plowshares, basically turning the weapons into plowshares. And I think that's why there's more logistics than what we're seeing, what I'm observing, and what I hope you're starting to realize as you listen to me ramble here on the internet is that there are far more logistics involved in this end time transition. We're seeing the rise of evil, which obviously that was the restrainer being removed. Something had been restraining evil, probably to allow the wheat and the tares to grow together. But now I believe that restrainer has been removed, and that's why we're seeing the rise in evil. Why we're seeing people literally rejoice at the death of a saint. And we're seeing, these big, strong movements that are taking place between nation. Trump is bringing peace to certain nations, and he's trying to, deal with other things. So there's like all these big, massive moving pieces that are leading us towards the ultimate, basically heaven on earth. Which is when we no longer have weapons. People are going to throw down their weapons and beat them into plowshares and we're going to go from there. And who you are today and how you behave, is part of that transition. I think it's because there's language in regards to the end times that talks about marking or paying attention to the people and how they respond, and putting a seal on them, right? So it sounds like trials to me, going through the trials that are coming on the whole world. There are those who are already marked and don't need to go through the trials, but there are definitely those who need to suffer some tribulation because of, who they are and what they believe. Yeah. Anyway, so it's exciting times, right? It's exciting to observe all of these things. There's just so many more logistics than I ever imagined. I just assumed that Christ would come back and it would be a done deal. But there was obviously a lot of things that needed to take place. And quite honestly, it's probably the harvest. I think back to the parable of this, the wheat and the tares, right? The whole reason the harvest wasn't done early, or the tares weren't pulled out early, is to not harm the wheat. So if Christ just returned right now, there would probably be a lot of people who weren't saved. So this is, to give the opportunity for the wheat to finally mature, right? And I see that, and I think that's such a testament to, when you look at the 7 churches in the book of Revelation, the 2 churches with nothing to repent from, are the one under crushing pressure and the one who just loves their neighbor as themselves, Philadelphia. So if you want to know what you should be doing right now, love your neighbor. Any way you can, figure out how you can love people, even if it's hard and even if you're in tribulation. God will definitely bless you. So with that, God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.